Hello, everybody. It's me, ReaperSteve, and I'm joined by the one and only Jammer. How are you doing, Jammer?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm getting excited for some CS action, especially on Nuke.
Same here, mate, to be completely honest with you. I am very much looking forward to tonight's match. It's going to be a really good matchup. I feel, Tan have performed quite well on Nuke. In previous matches, obviously we had that mammoth game that went to OT2 in the end on Nuke. And they went from strength to strength after family at the very beginning of the season. So I think we are in for a very good one. I mean, obviously they're going up against quite a formidable team, as it were. Tonight playing against NeckTwisted. NeckTwisted themselves have had a half and half season, more or less. Really, they're 4 for 4 at the moment, 4 wins, 4 losses. But they've also got nearly all their losses have been on Nuke. In fact, thinking on it, Nuke and Ancient, I think, is the kind of split as far as the maps are concerned from them. But yeah, I mean, we spoke quite a bit last week about waiting for like that something to click with Tan. Let's hope tonight we do see that click. I mean, I think that's what we're all kind of waiting on tenterhooks for.
Yeah, I mean, they do have their full squad today, and as some viewers may remember, it was Shaney that's played the majority of the Nuke games in the Tan matchup so far. But today is the full squad, and hopefully, we do get that click moment now that they've got the full squad together. They have got some wins under their belt on this matchup, and not this matchup specifically, but on this map.
Yeah.
And they can pull on those bags worth of experience that we know they have behind this with their squad now.
Yeah, indeed. NeckTwisted, we kind of talked pre-sort of launch. They're the stable sort of 5 core players, by the looks of things. All 167 rounds being played by all 5 players, so no stand-ins and no dropouts kind of speak of. ADR perspective, Dips is the highest, I think, at 82. You corrected me earlier on, I think it was 83 I said, but it's 82 in fact. And Nuck just behind him at 76, if I'm not mistaken. So, they've got quite decent team to work up against. I think they are live with the knife round, so we'll throw it straight into knife round now anyway to watch that together. Yeah, and we'll see how Tan compete. I think is probably the best way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, you were talking about ADR. These teams are pretty well matched in terms of ADR. There's no overly obvious carry, and there's no outstanding low performer for either of these teams, so it should be a fairly even matchup, and that can often lead to those spicy games that we love to see. I'm not talking about overtime too necessarily, but perhaps getting into those later rounds.
So EsportsWales do in fact win the knife round. The scoreboard hadn't updated at the top, it now has. So taking CT straight off the bat, I suppose that's a pretty good idea really from a Tan perspective. We saw them play reasonably well as they warmed into CT in that mammoth match that we were talking about earlier. Interesting times. Want to see some really strong performance or see a strong performance coming in from Ollie tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of these players have outstanding games on Nuke, and I'm definitely keen to see how they can pull it off today. There is no kit in play, though, and it is going to be a fairly widespread from the Tan lot. It is one of those things on CT side where, if you're not feeling hot or if you haven't played a couple of games in a row, which for a couple of days in a row, rather, then it's easy to just kind of sit back on the T side and sit there tapping away, just as Ollie's doing right there on your screens. There is a little bit of utility in play from NeckTwisted, and it's going to try and pull the CT rotations out of order, but it does look like it's going to be ending in this upper hit. It is a fairly relaxed and patient setup so far, though.
Yeah, everything's very calm, isn't it? It's not too kind of push happy with each other. Right back's taking a lot of damage, but there's been damage traded off in the background as well, with Ollie landing some good hits onto Dips, and Frosty, I think, was also part of that damage onto Mister.
Yeah, that's a big entry into ramp, and Rest will continue to push through. He picks up 2 frags, and it is just Mister. He needs a multi-kill round. There's the first, but he can't quite achieve the second. Tagging, it was Derps down, but Ollie got him. That will be all he gets, though, because I didn't even realise it. They just closed around the round like that.
Yeah, they finished that off super quick. It was a really fast round. From well, all things considered, it was a really fast round. In the end, at least, there was a slow build up of play, and then all of a sudden, it was just that contact push into B ramp. That first initial player gets dropped in the form of Palmy. Mister's kind of a man apart at that point, and he's got to fight a losing battle essentially as the onslaught of NeckTwist players come his direction.
Yeah, it is an uphill battle for him right there, and he's just not up to the task in that case. It is just, a matter of inches in a game like CS, so unfortunate for that, but they will be knocked back onto an eco here, and well, that should mean that these Mac 10s on the side of NeckTwist can farm up a little bit of money, and well, you know how much I love to hear those Mac 10s rattle off and pick up some kills, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that both of us really enjoy, in fairness. The SMG play for a lot of teams has changed massively over the last 2 seasons of ESEA. Obviously, we didn't cover quite a lot of the TAN games last season, but the TAN games that I watched, at least anyway, they really did kind of compete against them quite well. So I'm hoping that, again, displays quite nicely here. There is that push from upper, so Ryback is going to be the first man to take that touch of contact. Derps is the man on the receiving end, and will finish Ryback off relatively quickly with the spray. Rest just pushes straight through with it as well. This is really good from NeckTwist, in fact. They're taking the early push fights to get in. Ollie's the only man to convert, and we go 2-0.
Yeah, you can see just how those Mac 10s can come into play, because they get 3 early kills and then they just take their time, walk on through to the sites, and as you were saying, the contact when you're getting bullets to the face isn't very fun, so it is going to be falling, but we're into our first gun round, and this is where it really matters. They're a bit low on utility on the TAN side of things, but they can definitely make things work. They have firepower advantage technically, but there's always these T-side setups to bring in those close range encounters, and it is going to be an outside setup though from these early smokes.
Yes, big round from TAN. Got to be massive. They're going to try and compete against those 2 Mac 10s that's still up. You've got 2 AKs in play and a Galil as well also, so there's still going to be cash left available. Dips pushes through to that smoke but doesn't quite see the player underneath, and Mister's able to convert too. He made that look easy, didn't he, against Dips, in fairness.
Mate, my M4 doesn't work like that.
No, same.
Not though. He gets 2 really quick kills, and Ryback can answer back with a nade. It will just leave things onto ReaperSteve, and he's going to have to battle outside to retain this bomb control, because it has been lost in the process. But he upgrades to an AK, and suddenly there's an window of opportunity. He gets the first, and the remaining 2 players are pushing in close. Ooh, there was a world where he could have made that work, but Freestylers, with the key bit of utility, will close things out.
It's a good round from TAN, a big round from TAN. They recovered 2 AKs off the back of it as well, so they've got money there to spend to drop if need be. I kind of like the gunplay from Mr. outside, to be completely honest with you. I think it was Ollie that was pushed up short just towards Mini. And they both kind of worked quite well balanced off each other. Right back facing the AK with a FAMAS, I'm not 100% certain on that one, to be honest with you, if I'd back that again, but it was worked out in the end nonetheless.
Yeah, it did work out, but what's not going to work out is this NeckTwist push onto A. Mister, he's good for the first 2, but that's when he gets traded out, and Freestylers has a big job to do at the back of this A site. He bounces a flash off, and he'll try and swing with it, but he has bomb control and has to be wary of these pushes from the T side. There are 2 NeckTwist players alive and kicking, although ReaperSteve gets dropped, and it leaves things onto Kabul, and well, he has some space outside, but he does need to push in for that bomb control, and Freestylers can close things out right then and there. Quicker round, but just as convincing.
Yeah, you do fancy him to win that fight, in fairness to him. Very nicely converted the last 2 rounds from TAN. They've been quick fire as well. It's not been, like a slow push by NeckTwist by any stretch of the imagination to get themselves into position. It's been, hyper speed more or less to get that initial contact over and done with, and TAN have really competed quite nicely against it.
Yeah, they really have, and that kind of leaves things in this situation where NeckTwist are stuck back on this deco by... It isn't the optimal situation to be in, but we've seen it's time and time again how much damage these deagles can do, and if NeckTwist can utilize them in the perfect way, then they can connect perfectly and end up in a 1 round. It is going to be a slower approach, though, as they wait for the utility usage, but there's a quick ramp push, and there's the first connection of the deagle. Ryback falls, and that's going to render ramp control over towards NeckTwist. They might even be able to retain that gun.
I think they will mind. I mean, making good headway towards it. Especially with the 3 of them backed up there, ready to try and, compete against it. Obviously, you and I have got the benefit of seeing that there's nothing really there to to really combat against that recovery of M4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good idea from them, though. I mean, they can push through off the back of it. They can take that high, that high opening into a site itself. Ollie stood by ready for it, though. That was what I was kind of concerned with, is that they wouldn't have a man looking behind ready for that push from upper. He even stops the plant with the nade.
I really like that setup from Tan there. The double towards the vent area, and very often in these lower buy situations, you get the T side trying to put pressure on ramp, and then doubling back, putting pressure on the door, and trying to get down towards that lower site. And Tanner just having absolutely none of that. That was a perfect kind of crossfire setup where freestylers and was it Ollie who were sat next to each other. I really like that. That's a really good setup.
This is the thing. That's exactly what I was saying midway through. Is like, I'm worried about this reverse play. Are they really going to expect them to come up, or are they going to continue to push lower? Having that two-man cross split like that, Ollie's in a perfect position to dominate off the back of it, and they'll get knocked out pretty quickly. But yeah, he's able to throw the grenade as well. But yeah, moving on to this round, Ollie doesn't have the best start. Neither does Freestylers, and Derps is just tearing through EsportsWales at the minute.
He's just running into these areas and taking frags, and Cabal, he gets spurred on forward. He'll pick up another one. That leaves things onto Pommy and Mister, and they have such a tall task ahead of them. You might have to even just forfeit off the back of those 3 losses. Mister, though, he gets the first, unable to get a multi-kill round, and, well, Pommy's just down and out of this one.
Yeah, Pommy's got to back up with this, isn't he? He's got to fight his way out of it, though. Derps is looking. He won't be looking for too much longer as Pommy takes the head off him. That well-placed flashbang could stop Pommy in his tracks a little bit here. He's looking eager to try and swing out and maybe go for something if he can get some sort of info as to where these players are going to be hiding. He's got 2 extremely low players to work with, doesn't he? So, it is convertible in a way. He's just got to time everything right.
Oh, it's so close. I'm so tense on the edge of my seat, but the time's just getting a bit too low, and well, he picks up 2 frags, but he can't pick up the round. That was, ever so close, and I'm hesitantly, saying perhaps he went for that because he got the info that some players were low, but he just couldn't quite get the engagements in time before the bomb was ticking down too low, and then it was just a desperation play in the end.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, though. I kind of like the fact he's like, well, I can't get bombed, so everyone else is coming with me. It takes 2 players down immediately off the back of it. He isn't successful in taking Freudensy down, but, he does a bit of damage to him. I think, in that scenario, that little bit quicker off the mark, maybe that flashbang not go in heaven, and we're looking at a different round entirely. That flashbang definitely did some work onto Pommy. It made him kind of slow his roll a little bit, not maybe pushing the site too eagerly and as quickly as he could have done, but off the back of it he's able to convert one of the frags from lower, so you can argue either way off the back, off the type of round that he's just had, but nonetheless, positives from Tan so far. NeckTwisted do bite back. It's just whether either side's going to push each other to the break of Brinken.
Yeah, it is that very tense moment where both of these sides are low on money, and it's one of those crunch rounds that you talk about all the time. It is very imperative for Tan to just keep players alive, even if they're not going to win the round necessarily. If they can keep a couple of players alive, then they can definitely get some buys around these weapons in later rounds. But ideally, this force is going to be one of those approaches where you're trying to push the envelope and try and force through one of those chaotic situations where you can get a round win. But Ollie's the one that's under pressure, and he's ducking and diving below these bullets, and, well, his job there is just to pass the info along. Oh, I don't know about that play, and Pommy's going to get taken out. He does get derped low, so it's not all for naught, but kind of wanted a bit more from him. Ollie, he gets dropped as well. Nice flashbang push there from NeckTwisted, and well, it does seem like we're approaching the end of this round as NeckTwisted encroached their way around the B site, wrapping the Python arm around it. There is a couple of payback kills. Ryback and Mister, they're going to cut the snake in half, and, well, suddenly it's a 2-1-2. Both of these CT players are on ramp, but they're going to reposition off the back of it, and they are low, so I'm unsure whether they commit to this, especially with Nuck going aggressive like that, striking with his fangs, and yeah, that's just sent Ryback to the complete other side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, Ryback's got to save off that, isn't he? Let's be completely honest. If it was still 2-on-2, they potentially could take at least one of the fights out of it. I don't see them taking both fights. So, I feel like both players saving would have been a better option, of course. But, maybe there's a long-term plan in the background that you and I aren't aware of, and, we should just both keep our mouth shut and let Ryback save out the rest of this round. The money's not going to be healthy, is it? That's another fact that we need to talk about from Tan's perspective. It's going to be another eco push. They can't even buy Deagles, realistically speaking, or shouldn't be buying Deagles, I should say.
I think one of the things that could be playing into as we approach, this midway stage of the half is conditioning NeckTwist to be constantly scared of these pushes. We've seen in these last couple of rounds, Tan aren't afraid to go for those, perhaps lower percentage plays where you're not supposed to win, but they go for it anyway. And that is going to be putting NeckTwist on watch, and it's going to make them extra cautious. So perhaps it could be a little bit of mind gaming there. I'm not going to, overly credit Tan. I mean, in the end, it didn't work, but I'm just coming up with a theories.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. That's probably a wise decision to make, coming up with some theories. At least you'll be in the know of what's going on. At the minute,
Hopefully there's method behind the madness.
Yeah, I'm just playing it by ear as I see the things happening in front of me, so to speak. Ooh, Dips is quick off the mark on Mr. and Freestyles. Doesn't actually get any traded damage on the back of it. Dips has got 2 kills for free, essentially, at that point. Ryback's the only player to answer back so far with this push from NeckTwist.
It was with the MP9, so he gets a bit of farmed money, but I don't know if that offsets the balance of investing in it in the first place. It's
a weird... Yeah, I mean, the economy... You could argue that it's okay, but you could argue that it's actually really poor as well at the same time. Actually, thinking on it, that was a MP9 saved, wasn't it, anyway? So it's not actually a purchase in this round. It's a retained back into it. So, yeah, actually, it's a good economy difference for him.
Yeah, true.
I don't think they spent anything into this round, so yeah, it should be good eco.
Well,
for him at least, anyway, not for the team. One player off the back of a 5-man eco is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, they were hoping for a bit more, but I mean, it just seems like Derps right now is having a field day in these entries. Sure, he's got traded out a couple times, but at the end of the day, if you're getting those entries and buying space for the rest of your teammates to push in, then that's your job done.
Yeah.
Ooh, Rest is low here. If he goes down, then perhaps there's a little bit more of a favourable economic situation. But he's going to be tucking himself away. And actually, Pommy, he just goes in and...
What's he doing?
I don't know how he got the game sense for that, but I love it.
It's that cheekiness that we're used to seeing from EsportsWales. When they're down and out, they're just like, yeah, I'm just going to go for him anyway. Why not? I mean, like, I'm not going to get any less money. I'm just going to get more money, so it doesn't really bother me. Yeah, fair play to him. 5-3 is the scoreline into round 9, as you can see on screen. EsportsWales were playing quite strong in the beginning of this first half, but kind of lackluster since those 3 or 4 round bursts from NeckTwist. Sporadic moments of joyful happiness, and then all of a sudden it's like, oof, okay, maybe rough decisions here and there, but I'm not certain if they're aware that there's a man underneath. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we should probably think about checking in with Ollie, who's the man outside. Potentially could get caught out here.
Yeah, he definitely could. I'm more wary about perhaps like a ramp push, but Nuck is content sitting in the underpass area, and it is going to be the ramp pressure that comes through eventually. But Pommy and Ryback, they double up, and they've absolutely shut this down. It is just the man on lower that's left, and the bomb is no man's land right now, or as I say, no man's land. Tan, they're just going to render full control of it, so they might be able to sneak one man down lower, but as long as the rest of Tan are fragging like that, it won't matter.
Yeah, Pommy just held that entire angle perfectly, especially with having the back of Ryback just behind him. Again, it's these really wonderful 2-man coverages that we both enjoy watching. Mr. will finish the round off there, but yeah, it's these 2-man, these arcs of fire, these covering positions that they're looking at with each other. It really works out quite strengthy in that respect. So you can tell, from watching the earlier games that we've seen from Tan at the start of the season, that they've kind of grown into their own with each other. Obviously, this is a team that have been together for quite some time now. They've done quite a few different tournaments. We can no longer look at it as being Mr. being the new guy on the block, so to speak. He has been around for quite a bit with them. So, it's interesting to kind of see the swings and lows of them. Whereas when we look at Team Yar, for example, we were watching later on this evening, they're relatively new mixed together, and you can see that they're a new mix together by the way they play. But with Tan, they just seem to be growing more and more together.
Yeah, and often people are reluctant to talk about how important it is for teams to have chemistry, or even just to know how each of their respective players react to different things, and just having that experience under your belt can help you in the long run. We've seen Gambit youngsters, now the full Gambit roster, who were together for 3 or something years. They've just been able to click together, but it's just worked out in the end, and they just had the patience and time to work together to put that to fruition. And it's going to be Pommy, though, that's put pressure on Ramp, and he gets the first, the second. That's a lovely angle to hold. I love doing that on myself. And there we go. You can even fade away into another position, get some help from Ollie, but it is just going to be Pommy who puts on the defense. And man, this man is impenetrable right now.
Yeah, definitely. He's just on point. That pause coming into effect, that's going to be NeckTwisted, I would imagine, anyway. They're going to be wondering why they're kind of leaking so many rounds to Tan at the moment. Yeah, but we talk about like the longevity of players within teams. I mean, the perfect example of that from an EU perspective or a UK perspective is Thomas with Endpoint. Thomas was Endpoint for what, 2.5 years? Maybe 2.5 years? He's just left within the last couple of weeks. 2.5 years with a team in EU, in UK CS is unheard of, more or less, really, let's be completely honest. Obviously, you've got your friend groups that you play with, but, UK CS sees so many, how do I put this in the nicest way? Trials and tribulations within teams. I think that's probably the easiest way of putting it, but, it just goes to show if you've got the right chemistry and you've got the right kind of mechanics in the team behind you, then you can stay together for quite some time. So, yeah. Especially if you play other games together, because I mean I've spoken to a couple of different different CS teams over the years, and a lot of them are more about we play CS together for tournaments, but outside that we play Minecraft together, or we play this together. They don't just play the one game. They have that social aspect behind them as well. Anyway, that's enough about the mentality of players. I think we've kind of.
I mean, I'm loving it. We're in a deco round, and NeckTwisted aren't doing much, but there's a little bit of a push. It goes haywire, but yeah, honestly, I don't think chemistry is talked about enough in these teams, especially for up-and-coming players. It is important to make friends, and that's a nice nade combo. Freudty, he's been put to the grave, and he's not even seen anyone. But yeah, when you're up-and-coming as a player and trying to get into these teams like ER that... we've seen a couple of new faces. It is important to have the connections, know the right people, and even just be able to communicate to your teammates together. I think it was Complexity in one of their more recent interviews who said, as a team, one of our psychological advantages is that after a tough loss or even a win, they'll sit in TeamSpeak together and talk things through just to make sure that no one has any bad feelings or is, overly tilted at anyone else by the time they get up and leave that TeamSpeak. And I think that's something that speaks volumes about how they're going to approach the game and how people should be approaching the game.
It's the modern way to play CS, and this is something that I feel like a lot of UK CS teams don't really take advantage of, is the amount of time they have between games. The tier 1 teams, like the S tier teams, the ones who are constantly on the move, constantly going to boot camps, constantly going to different tournaments, they don't have time more often not to do stuff like that unless they're at offline events. So to have as much time as a UK CS team would have, in between tournaments, in between Epic LAN or in between ESEA seasons, in between matches in ESEA, perfect example of it, make the most of that time. You've got way more than you can really think of, and take all that advantage that you're given and use it as much as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. That is, I think it kind of low-key turned into a podcast between us. Yeah, these are absolutely things that teams need to consider. NeckTwisted, though, they're going to be considering this A site, and there we go. There's a late hit coming through. Saw the outside utility to expend some of the early responses, but it is going to be Freestars and Mister that fall. Ryback, though, he's putting on a class act on how to hold this A bomb site, and he's locked down with 2 kills so far. Got one more to find, and he will lock it down. Ryback and Pommy, I think these are 2 names that we need to be talking about more because they have locked things down.
I kind of want to see the ADR. I say the ADR. I want to see the utility damage more than anything, because we've seen some big sort of frags going popped out and lots of good use of utility from Tan. Something I'm not familiar with saying, to be completely honest with you, from a Tan perspective, because we normally say more often than not, I wish there was a bit more utility used to block off these lanes that they're not taking advantage of. They're allowing more and more room. Anyway, we talk about utility and that happens. We'll leave that one well alone. We always talk about that, the lack of utility used to kind of cover off angles that they're not really going to be able to pay attention to. And it just seems like tonight everything's working out quite nicely for them. Speaking of podcasts, we do need to start one at some point, 100%. There's so many different commentators out there that have done it. Why not us as well? That's what I'm saying.
Hey man, I'm down if you are. We just need to sort out a time and a place, and well, Derps has got a time and a place to appear, and that's a key moment that you need to win in those engagements. It is going to be falling across the board for NeckTwisted, and I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Tan. They've got 7 rounds on the cusp of bringing it to an 8th, but Ryback will fall, and there is a little crack of opportunity. I'm not going to quite say a window of opportunity, but actually. There is a window of opportunity that's arisen. Freudsy's got 3 kills and he's on for the ace clutch. As I say that, Caster's curse, it comes through and Freudsy gets dropped. So I'm just going to stop talking, Nick.
That was just unfortunate. Now we have a pause. We will check out the utility damage. 192 from Ollie, 147 from Ryback. I mean, the bigger sort of question, or bigger sort of talking point, though, is the 3 top players from EsportsWales. 113 ADR, 84 ADR, and a 90 ADR. Palmy's got 3 times as much ADR as Freudsy has, more or less. Give or take a couple of points here or there. You can really see the damage dealers as they play it out, for us in front of us here, and it's coming off quite nicely. 12 and 9, 12 and 7, 11 and 6. Be happy with those sort of KD ratios on the CT side. Just wonder what they can put out on T side for us.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be sat here in a situation where EsportsWales Tan, they're getting the frags on the board. They're working well. Even, we saw some utility to come to fruition. I think it was Ryback and Ollie combining for that hut kill earlier, and it's converting to rounds. Often we've seen this unfortunate situation where Tan, they're getting those 3Ks and then some insane play comes out and they just lose a round, or on a round where they're trying to use utility or changing setups, or some other unfortunate event is just not working out for them. But it's converting today, and they just need to keep it up to bring this to a win for them.
Yeah, they really do. Again, this utility usage is coming up quite nicely for both teams. In fact, that kind of forces Palmy away from the most dangerous position he's been in for quite some time. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this first half finishes off, especially with the way things are currently looking. Freestyles will pick up 1 against Rest. That will finish off Freestyles in a 1-for-1 trade. Palmy's in a decent position to lay damage, but he's superly laid out himself anyway. He needs to take a little bit of cover and wait for his teammates to lend some sort of assistance to him.
Yeah, it is going to be the retake setup coming in through, everywhere, because Tan, they've got 4 players alive against the now 3 of NeckTwist. Nice nade from Mr. Util coming into fruition, and I love to say that. There are 2 coming from Heaven, and it is a lot of pressure on Nuck, but he's up to that, and, just as he gets that spray through, everyone else falls around it, and Tan finally lose a round.
Yeah, and on the cusp of end of the first half as well. This is, they've won the half, regardless of what happens in this round, of course, but 8-6, 9-6 would be a really good scoreline to still take into T-side. Especially if they can put those high damage dealing players in the right positions to really, stop the kind of defenses that NeckTwist may have in store for them.
Oh, that's a lot of early pressure on Mini there. I don't know how Tan are going to respond to it. And there you go. We see the response straight away. Auto Director comes in clutch for once, and Palmy's pushed up really aggressively toward this ramp area. It has left outside fairly weak for Tan, and there's the repositioning coming through. I like the game plan from them so far, but Derps, he's in such a critical spot. They didn't notice he managed to sneak his way down, and that's impact when you need it. Mr. He answers back, and his presence alone gives NeckTwist the awareness that this A site is a little bit weak, and it is going to be ending up in this A site falling. Freestylers, though, he's in a perfect position to counteract this. There's 2 in his name. He's going to stay alive, try and get a little bit more, and Broidsy and Derps, they're going to have to double up for some more impact. There we go, 2 versus 2 on the cards, and it is going to be finishing up on this B site. We did see Derps low down here. Oh, that's unfortunate for Pommy. I feel like we're seeing some of the antics that we didn't want to see before coming to fruition, and it is just Mr. stuck on his lonesome. Final round with the AWP. No kit to speak of, but he's got a bit of time to play with, and I think it is just a matter of time before he drops. There we go. Broidsy will put it into the scoreboard, and it is 7-8 at the half.
It is indeed. And to be completely honest with you, I'm still extremely happy with the way that things have gone so far from a Team Tam perspective. I don't think we're in a position we should be worrying any time or straight away. It's just how they start off the second half. I would have normally taken us back to away from gameplay, but it looks like everyone's readying up as it is, so we'll give them that couple of seconds to see if that does. If it doesn't, then we'll come out of gameplay for a second.
Yeah,
but
I think, one thing to look back on is like an 8-7 scoreline. While we've seen some good stuff out of Tan, it's nothing to shake a stick at. Like NeckTwisted, absolutely in this, and if they get a strong start to the CT side, we could definitely see a kind of reversal of the confidence and even the scoreline. Not a reversal, perhaps, but what's the word I'm trying to come up with? Like a reversing to old ways, perhaps. We've seen, Tan, they've gotten some good positions, and I don't think the scoreline truly reflects how well Tan played around on that first half. But they do have another half to play and get through before they can pull this to a win. And I'm sure NeckTwisted are going to be putting themselves in a strong spot to answer back.
Yeah, indeed. If they can play anything like they have been doing in the warm-up, then we should be good. In a nice sort of sense. Apologies, I've got like the worst tickly cough ever, and today it's been absolutely just kicking my ass. So apologies for like the breakup in conversation every now and again while you wait for me to say something, and I'm like in the background.
No worries. I think it's ginger water that helps with that.
I've tried everything. I've literally tried everything. Yeah,
no worries.
It's nothing at all is working for me. It's just been the worst few days ever.
Well, I can relate to that one, mate. I'm hoping that Tan don't have a couple of worst few rounds ever. They are going to be stuck on the T side, which isn't the favourable side of Nuke, but they've done some impressive work so far, and hopefully they can continue that.
Yeah, I mean, it's how they it's how they push out in this pistol round, really, for me. I mean, they've got a little bit of utility to work with. That flashbang didn't really play into too much advantage for them, at least anyway, but they were able to convert 1 or 2 frags off the back of it. Freestyle's last man standing. It's just a matter of when. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's like, when's he going to go down? There you go, he's dead, right, okay.
I feel like NeckTwist came in with a bit of anti-stratting there because they were set up almost perfectly to react to that. As you said, the flashbangs weren't effective, the Furia flashbangs at least, and, well, Tan just couldn't get the entries. They got to a strong position initially, but that was kind of where it stopped and started. But we are going to be knocked back onto this kind of low pistol buy, and on the other side of things, NeckTwist, they're content with going for a heavy SMG buy. It's not something that, you'd see very often, but it can definitely play into advantage on a map like Nuke.
Can indeed. I kind of like this position from Kabul. I mean, you're playing super deep, so I was going to say you're open to a player like Ollie coming around that corner and potentially giving you a bit of a shock, but playing that far back gives them a little bit more time to manage the information that's come into him, at least anyway. Mr. will pick up Nuck, and it is now 2v3. Is Palmy just sat? He was just sat in the smoke, and he just popped out into A with little to no utility to work with, and that is the end of that round. So we go 9-8 in favour of NeckTwisted now.
Yeah, those SMGs did put in some good work, and that's farmed up a little bit of cash that they're content to play with. It is a bonus round situation, keeping 2 of those MP9s on the board. And on the other side of things, Tan, they have AKs in their hands, and that one-shot potential should be working to their favour. It's just whether they can land those headshots and bring the round to a close. They don't have a lot of utility to work with, so they will have to commit behind these initial outside smokes, and it is going to be all the pressure on Ollie to be able to convert, some presence, at least pushing towards the lower side. Oh, that's dirty. Derp's getting that one. Ollie can get one on the outside, and that does make things a bit awkward. NeckTwist don't have the info as to whether Tan are pushing down outside and into secret, but they have rotated 2 players down, and that's left the upper site, particularly weak. I'm surprised at how the rotations came through there, but it is going to even out. Tan do give them the space to rotate into position, and they don't consider rest up here. The MP9 doing work. There's 2, unable to get a third, but he's done his job. He's got the info and even got a couple of kills to boot, so I'll be happy with that performance. It is just Ollie and Mr. now that need to recover the situation, and the 3 players of NeckTwist are on the hunt. They're trying to get some info and play around what these players have put in front of them. Ollie is trying to get some awareness on this upper site. He adjusts nicely onto Derps, and that does give them A site control, but NeckTwist are hot on their heels, and the 2 players are set up well for this retake situation. There's an MP9 and an M4 to work. Oh, Mr. not quite catching the timing, but he's not punished too badly. As I say that, though, Freudsy converts, and Ollie needs to pull off something spectacular. He is low, and the MP9 can work well, and there we go. MP9 closes things out. It is going to be 10 to NeckTwist.
Yeah, it's the same old story with these SMGs. We see the MP9 just doing absolute work on teams constantly. And that was just a perfect masterclass from NeckTwist on how to put the MP9s in a position where you can convert the most money from it and you can convert the most kills from it. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see the flip side of Tan. The super confidence that we saw from him towards the end of the second half kind of dissipated almost in this in the second half. I mean, we're still waiting for a big crunch round, though. I say that with. With kind of open expectation, bated breath. Yeah, there was a purchase in that last round, or a few purchases in that last round, which were, unusual to say the least, and they were now knocked back into a deagle round. But yeah, we should hopefully see a big crunch round coming off the back of this one, depending if they can convert frags, and it is all just dependent on that, really, isn't it? Wait a minute, is Pommy unaware of Derps just destroying everyone behind him?
Pommy's just wandering in the daisy. He's just having a grand old time on the outside area, but he will be able to convert the kill eventually. I don't think they realise Cabal, he's watching this outside area, and he will be warden of the outside. Pommy, though, the only man able to get some kills, will be closed out, and NeckTwist, they're starting to mount this incredible CT side, and it doesn't make me worry for Tan.
This is it, really, isn't it? This is the round that... Well, this is the crunch round, basically, isn't it? This is now where we're at. If this is the thing with this sort of round, and then the position that Tan are in, the way that NeckTwist are performing at the moment, their CT side is clearly their more... I'm going to let this round play out, and then we'll talk about what my thoughts are in a second, because Carol just smashed Mr. up entirely with that thing. That just straight up AWP shot immediately as soon as things happened.
Yeah, I mean, you don't often get to see those AWP versus AWP heads-up matchups that we often, bang on about, which AWP is going to perform better, this one is doing blah, 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 but right there then and that you can see just how those AWP matchups can match up, and Cabal comes out on top on that occasion. It is going to be retrieved from Pommy, and I think he has been pretty handy with the AWP in previous rounds, but Cabal, that's a really nice reposition, and he doubles up on his kills for this round. It makes things so much easier for the rest of NeckTwist, and they're set up so well for anything that Tan do at this stage.
How do you compete against it? Ollie will take down Derps again, that high damage, high impact player that we've spoken about earlier on. But even still, I mean, they've got bomb control. Freestyles is going to push into A site after using a little bit of utility to make that little bit of room. He swings out, but there's nothing there, so he swings back in. I mean, it's taking ground then losing ground, taking ground then losing ground, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And the thing is, the time's so low, they're constricted toward this A site. In the, dull moment of the round, NeckTwist did take lobby control, and they've set up perfectly for this. They're absolutely ready for this A push onto, this push onto the A site, and the time's so low now that NeckTwist can do almost what they want. They can just push in together, overwhelm the Tan players, and there you go. It's all done before it even started.
Yeah, definitely. You can. This is the thing of it. Like, we're talking about the overwhelming. How to overwhelm a team, and that is exactly what NeckTwist do. It's play by play, blow by blow as it happens, and it's nice, obviously, that you and I have got the time to be able to break it down like that. But Tan need to start thinking a bit more quickly on the fly in these T rounds. Otherwise, they're going to be in a position like they were the last time we saw them on Nuke, where they ended up pushed into OT. OT2 to get the win in the end. They kind of struggled in those backhand rounds like that. The happiness I had from CT is all but gone, more or less, at the minute, unless things start to change relatively quickly from Tan.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at the first half, Tan's longest win streak on rounds was 5 rounds, and NeckTwist are on the cusp of breaking that, and it seems like they're having no trouble with it absolutely, and I was going to go to whatsoever, but both of those adjectives will work. It is just going to be 2 players from, now just Ryback. I'm just going to let him fall to the wayside as Tan. They can't really put up much of a fight with the Deagles, and it's a bit unfortunate they can't get more kills.
Yeah, they really can't. I mean, it's disappointing, but it's also kind of like indicative of what we tend to see from Tan quite a fair bit as well, what we have seen from them quite a fair bit. Who knows? I mean, it might just be a bad run in this in this start of the second half, and this round here where it matters the most, they're going to come back and start fighting. I mean, it feels unlikely, doesn't it? It feels unlikely the way that they've been playing against NeckTwist. They just haven't seemed to be able to. Oh my days!
Well, that's something you can't mess up.
Yeah.
Gap in the smoke right there is going to be their downfall. All the info has been passed along, which is perhaps even more important than the kill, but Freestylers, he gets the lone man down lower, and if you can get a couple of entries like that, it doesn't really matter what you do. It is a 3 versus 3 situation. NeckTwist are starting to rotate in position, and Rest is being so cheeky, getting to a strong position, and I don't know if Tan will even be able to consider this. It is these kind of slow parts of rounds where Tan have fallen to the wayside. It doesn't seem like they have, the depth or awareness to be able to consider these pushes, and there you go. Rest chimes in with 2. He might just close the round right there and then. 3k for that, man, and that's unfortunate for Tan.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I wouldn't even say that it's like a punishing sort of way to lose around like that. It's just really unfortunate the way that it's happening in front of our eyes. 14-8 is the scoreline. I'm going to use it. I'm going to do it. Nails in the coffin.
Bring it back.
Yeah, NeckTwist is just hovering over that lid with a hammer, just staring at it, going, right, okay. There's 2 more out there. Are they going to be able to recover and stop the 2 further nails from going in the coffin? That's the big question from Tan.
It really is. And I mean, you talk about the nails in the coffin. It really does seem like that. Tan have been dead in the water, and they haven't won a single T round in this half yet. We're just rounding that, past the halfway stage of this half, and they don't have anything to speak of on this T side. Does seem like they're just getting sent straight back to the drawing board because nothing's worked so far, and I kind of want to see a change of pace, but right there, as you can see, Palmy's getting double naded. It's fortunate to get a kill onto Freudzy, but you can't rely on those players every time. They are going to have to try and figure some way out of punishing this NeckTwist side. Oh, Derbs, he's going to be cheekily pushing through the smoke, and we've seen him pull off cheeky plays all throughout this map, and he's going to get away with it again. That's just too much from that man. He's overwhelming.
He really is. It's just, you love to see a player like that, though, that has the confidence to go in, get that cheeky frag, pull back out, and forget it ever happened, go on to the next one. Always quick on the draw against Nuck. Will convert frags. That's going to leave it a little bit more open and a bit more appealing for EsportsWales to really push into. With
Yeah,
bomb
it
plant,
is.
but 2 players on low HP. It is anyone's game at the minute. Never
Well,
mind. I eat my words.
NeckTwisted shouldn't be going for this, but I
No.
guess with the round advantage they have, they can, well, semi-afford to. They should be able to piece together a buy if they can save this AWP on Kabul, but Tanner, well, they're going to let him save from the looks of it, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not even going to contend with the AWP. They can't really afford to, in fairness. They don't have the cash or the economy to be able to back that fight up if they were to lose a player. You know, losing 1 AK that could have been retained into it would be bad enough, but losing 2, especially with Pommy and Mister on such low HP, it's just ill-advised, really. 14-9 is the scoreline, so they do claw 1 back. There is still, 2 out there, though. Potentially NeckTwisted could dominate off the back of. Their economy doesn't look too healthy, and that's the other thing that we need to take into consideration right now. So EsportsWales should, in theory, be able to convert another round off the back of this one.
Yeah, I mean, while we've got a pause in play, it's worth considering, what we were saying in the first half about the ADRs, and it's literally almost a reverse situation. We can see 3 players on NeckTwisted hovering at, almost nigh on 100 ADR each, or perhaps averaging out to that. And then on the other side of things, Tan just haven't been able to replicate the success that they had on their CT side. So it does seem like both of these teams are, CT heavy. And it is going to be an uphill battle for Tan to claw back this game.
It really is. It really, really, really is. And I'm trying to think of like, I mean, I'm not a coach. You're a coach. Okay, so we're gonna go through the old-fashioned sentence of I'm not a coach, you're a coach. What would you do in this, from this perspective now, from a Tan player? What would you be saying to the guys? Like, how do you kind of compete against what NeckTwisted have really kind of overwhelmed them with so far on that CT side?
I think the X factor that I've been lacking in watching Tan right now is that lack of confidence to just go out and win these rounds. You've seen players with the likes of Derps just pushing around and being dynamic, even Cabal with the AWP, when he was, moving everywhere. It seemed like the NeckTwisted players are content with, being dynamic and playing around each other, and Tan a little bit stuck in their ways, a bit hesitant, and they need to try and, just take their advantages when they come, push together as a team and just be aggressive, because it is really hard to fight off against an aggressive play. There's a little bit of an aggressive play from Derps, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. He picks up 1 kill, gets the info, and just dips out of there. And that info can be passed along. NeckTwisted are going to reposition off the back of it. Ollie's going to get 2 fantastic entries, but you can't be relying on getting those kinds of kills every day. Fantastic kills nonetheless. Freudsy, he's going to be holding off this A site, and you can see the rest of NeckTwisted players are perfectly set up to hold off any sort of play. It is just Mister in the clutch, 1 versus 2, and they line up! Mister wins it when they need it most. 10 rounds on the board for Tan, and, well, that's just a key play when you need it.
I just don't even know. Where do you even begin? I mean, that round was just sliding constantly 50-50 either way. NeckTwisted were winning it, EsportsWales, Tan were winning it. It was just all over the place. And then right at the very end, where both of us are sat there going, Tan just lost 3 players in 3 separate fights. Like, this is done and dusted as far as Tan's perspective is concerned. And then Mister does that. Perfectly played from him. Oh no. Never mind.
You can't be losing those.
Why am I singing his praises? And then that happens. What is going on? Oh, Rest just goes in for more.
What's just happened, mate?
Oh, this is just absolutely punishing. For us, at least. Not for the Tan boys. Like, it's punishing for you and I to watch more than anything. Oh, Pommy is just tearing through them, trying to get as much out of this as he can. It's a 1v1.
Why doesn't Tan win these pistol rounds, mate?
I don't get it. I don't understand what is going on. Like, they need to explain to us. Ollie's got so much info by here. It's just. Well, how do you digest that round? Like, how do you digest it? Like, what is going on here?
I don't like. I want to go back to that seesaw analogy you were coming to beforehand. Tan are winning these rounds on such a knife's edge. It is just tilting back and forth between a win and a loss, and it's really unconvincing. But I'm just happy to be witnessing them winning some rounds, because this is going to be, they've pushed an inch out of the door of the CT side of NeckTwist, and they need to break through and win a couple more rounds behind this now. They're on the verge of putting NeckTwist on the back foot on an eco, and I don't blame Pommy for going for an entry like that, but he needs to convert, and he's just not able to bring it through. It's a bit awkward now, and NeckTwist are set up for this lower take. Tan have been fairly partial to these secret pushes, and I guess they're going to be relying on it once again while NeckTwist try and reposition themselves. And it has been this kind of situation where Tan have felt downfall, but there we go, there's an entry, and it feels like NeckTwist are going to be a little bit slower on the rotation, at least for this first one. Rest is in position, he takes a fight with Freestylers, but where's the rest of the push? Mister and the rest of the squad need to push together. Oh my god, Rest is just pushed through onto the ramp. I don't know if they'll expect it, but they can adjust, and I think Ollie has quietly been working his way up to being one of the most impactful players from Tan. His entries onto these sites have been so critical. If Ollie goes down there, then who knows what happens, but it should be a save coming through from NeckTwist, and you can just see Nuck, he's going to be the warden, trying to prevent the saving Tan players.
I just don't even know where to begin here. Like, what is going on? There's so
Such
much
a bizarre
there's so much to take away from it as well. From like Tan's, play so far has been like free. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what best way to put it. Like, there's been, I don't want to say free flowing because it hasn't been. It's been kind of like relaxed play. Just do whatever you want to do, and it seems to be working out okay for them. Although, this is not good. Losing, 3 AKs back to back. I think that was 2 AKs and an AWP, actually, they just lost.
I think they might be in one of those situations where you win the round and you have a weaker buy than your opponents. Yeah. It is going to be an advantage in terms of firepower, but I don't know.
What advantage, though, realistically speaking? If they lose this round, that takes us to match point, and they have no money to back themselves into the next. They're in an eco on match point, essentially. This is...
It could be, one of those confidence plays that you just need to commit to, but obviously, we can see, speaking with a level head, that it's just not the right decision, and Pommy gets taken out very early. He has been one of the key men for Tan, and I think one of the stories of this game has been these missed smokes from Tan. There's the one on ramp. We saw the one outside where Derps was able to convert 1.5 frags. That seemed like, there we go. Ollie gets some luck, and that's more of what Tan needs, actually. Some more luck on their side. He's not going to be able to get a second, but he at least almost evens up the scoreboard, or the players alive in the server. There we go. The rest of Tan can convert on it, and they are on the cusp of winning a 13th, but NeckTwist are able to rotate off the back of this info that they've gained from the fights early on in the round. I need to get a move on here because the rest of NeckTwist are quickly moving into position to shut out this A push, and there we go. Cabal, he converts straight away on the AWP as soon as he comes around the corner. Nice flash to ward them off, but they have space to plant and they're not using it. They don't really have any other options. They're trapped in a corner. Trapped in a corner indeed. Freestylers gets 2. He needs to get the 3rd, and there we go. Cabal, he's going to get 3k to pick up the round, and there's what happened. There's what you were talking about happening. They've just lost a round. They don't really have money to speak of, and it's map point.
Yeah, I think this is it, unfortunately, Jammer. They can spend as much as they want to spend into this one, but they're only going to have 2 gleals, really, to purchase into. And I mean, 2 smokes, 2 flashes, going up against the entirety of NeckTwist's onslaught of cash they've had to spread between themselves. This is going to be a real... we talk about uphill battles all the time. This is probably the most up of uphill battles. It doesn't get any more uphill than this.
It kind of just seems like... We talk about the T side being the side where you dictate the pace of the game and you dictate the play, but NeckTwist have completely flipped the script on that regard because they've been going for those mini aggressions and mini pushes, and they've had fallback options from which they can do those, and it's just something that we've not seen Tan being able to deal with. They get 1-for-1 trades there. It is just the shotgun, and it's almost, I don't want to say not enough, but it's just a kind of lack of X factor that we've seen come through for this side.
Yeah. It's all well and good converting kills like that, but it's the round counts that matter the most, and they just don't seem to be able to connect those dots together to get that round count at the end of it. On T side, especially Ollie, though, creeping up onto Cabo, that'll be really actually an important frag for them, realistically speaking. It'll give them a little bit more room to maneuver outside.
Yeah, it really will. And there's a nice adjustment. There we go. Impact where you need it most. Ollie getting 2 kills in the outside area. That buys so much space, and it even makes NeckTwist on watch, because they don't have any more info to play with. We've seen, NeckTwist being able to rotate so early into these Tan pushes, but this time they just don't have the info, and Tan has the lower bomb site control. Voidy's going to rotate in late, and he has an SMG. Ollie can't adjust with the AWP, and there we go. There's a trade. 2 versus 2, 10 seconds left. They need to get the bomb planted, and they need to win the round. It is an awkward fight at the double doors. No player going down yet. And, both of the Tan players are stuck in this corner. They're getting mollied out. The UMP can do it. Right back, he's stuck on a 1-on-1, and Preuty has the info. Oh, he pushes out early, and Ryback barely gets away with it. But that's kind of the story of this half. Tan getting away with stuff that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's indeed. It's just... It feels like, again, you and I did a game yesterday for Esports, and we talked about the nuances of having new players in a team. We talked about the nuances of having like an existing core, 5. It just feels like on their T side, Tan reverted back to this, brand spanking new group of players that play together that can't quite get the strats together. This is a big crunch in lobby. I mean, look at that. That's 3 kills off the back of super aggressive pushes from NeckTwist.
Yeah, they even retrieve the rifles off the back of it, and they have so much space to work with because they know where these last 2 players are. And, it's just these kind of shortcomings that we've seen from players that can really be the downfall of these teams. It is going to be a really awkward spot that they're fighting back from. And, Ryback and Ollie have put in some outstanding bits of work, but it might be a task too tall right here, and they're getting tagged down low. The Eagles and Pistols are chipping down. They're barely holding on for dear life right now, and it is just Derps. Ollie surviving 1 HP. They need to win this round just to keep their hopes alive for this map. And, if there's one man you want alive for it, it is Derps, the star player from NeckTwist, to try and end up in this 1 versus 2 situation. And, Tan, they're in definitely an awkward spot to be fighting back from.
Kind of highly dupes to save the AK, but he's too mad not to. Like we've seen him just do like these crazy 1v3 clutches before. So there's literally no rhyme or reason to it. So we'll let him play out his round. We'll actually watch him for the rest of this round as well, just to see what he does end up doing. I think he is going to let the bomb tick out, and he's going to wait for an exit or 2 to come his direction. He'll grab Ollie, who's low HP anyway, but weapon recovered would have definitely helped the economy from a Tan. Ryback's going to be able to save as well, that AK. Yeah. Again, Dirks, you couldn't really call it, could you, in fairness? Is he going to go for it? Is he not going to go for it?
Yeah.
What is he going to do?
As a strat caller, a lobby crunch is one of the most, and I can't stress this enough, it's one of the most common strats for a CT side on Nuke. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, I don't think Tan were unprepared from it. They've definitely seen that before, whether it's in prac or otherwise, officials. They should have, some wherewithal, some awareness to deal with that kind of play. And the fact that they're kind of stood there, almost a bit surprised, is a bit of an unfortunate spot to be in. There is a 1-for-1 trade, and that should favour the T side, but with the way that NeckTwist are playing, it kind of seems like they're on a T side of their own, because their aggressions have been so hard to deal with, and, Tan half deal with it in that scenario.
Yeah, they really have, haven't they? They've been playing with a lot of flair from a CT side. They've not really done the norm. They've kind of, made super aggressive actions, as we saw in that lobby crunch there on an eco round, but they've also then done these wild pushes from B-side ramp, pushing all the way through into lobby from that direction. Couple there was converted to unrest in that same location. So, yeah, it's weird. There's that lobby crunch again. Ryback will fall, not before getting one of his own. It's a frantic retreat from NeckTwist. And this game could go to OT here.
It does seem to be on the cards, and this is the situation where we can wipe the slate clean. That's it. Everything that just happened in regulation does not matter anymore. The mentality that you had before, you need to throw that out the window, because Tan, they did fight their way back, and they've absolutely earned the rounds. Well, they made it hard for themselves, but they had to earn the rounds to get to this point. And now they need to come together, recuperate. The coach or some sort of, leader in the team needs to rise up and say, you know what, lads, we've not been having the best of times so far, but we fought to this position, and this is where we can kind of reset everything. Everything that's happened before doesn't matter. This is where we need to come together, bring together what was working into one small package, because it is a 6-round, overtime, 3 rounds a half, and this is where they need to fight and mount this comeback.
Tan and OT seem to be like this, some sort of freakish conjoined twin type thing, it just seems to be a norm for them at the minute. They love going to OT and they love making it. They love working and struggling for that win, don't they?
Yeah.
Like it's like nothing's ever easy. They've had. Yeah, in a football sense, they've had 2 open goals in front of them. They've hit the crossbar in one, hit the crossbar in another, gone to extra time, and then scored right at the very end on more than one occasion now. So, like, they need to, there needs to be some sort of normality, stability, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, well, they are going to try and put some pressure on the ramp, and that's a mistimed flash, or rather a mispositioned flash. It does seem like Rest can take advantage of it, fall back, and this has led to an awkward scenario where NeckTwisted are able to reposition and relocate themselves to adapt to this kind of push, but they need to be wary of any kind of Tan lurk push, and even though they're not going for it right now, Tan are going to be able to take advantages from it. Rest taking liberties in ramp, and I'm surprised to be seeing mistakes like that come from him, because we've not seen him make those kinds of mistakes too often in the second half. And Pommy absolutely could have taken advantage of Cabal there, but he's so scared, and you can see that right here. He took the initial opportunity opening for that frag, and now he's just stuck in this corner with not much else to do.
Dips. That's so good from Dips, by the way. That's perfectly played from him. He's going to be able to get himself into a better position to try and retain some more damage onto this A site as well. He'll convert a frag onto Mister and again onto Pommy. Yeah, but that Pommy issue outside, it's so visual when you see him duck away like that. That's the kind of impact that Cabal has had in this entire game as an AWPer. He's not afraid to take those long shots, and he's even more not afraid to take those shotgun AWP shots. And we've seen him constantly being in that position to do it. So it's weird then. No, it's not weird. Sorry, it's almost normal for like EsportsWales Tan to kind of suck themselves away into a corner the minute they hear an AWP shot ring out, because they know that Cabal's on the other end of it, and he is deadly with that AWP. I mean, there you go. He's converted one through smoke. We're not even able to see it because Auto Director decided not to show us it. But he's converting frags round after round.
Oh man, this is brutal. Everyone on NeckTwisted is coming together, and it seems like this 1-2 combo punches from each of the players are too hot to handle. Freestylers and Mist to have it to recover, and there's a first that should be coming through. It's a little bit hard fought of a frag, but there we go. They have a bit of space to work with on the lower side, and now is where they need to try and come back into this round. They did lose 3 players, and they did go for that, outside push that was working for them, but you can see right now NeckTwisted have shut the door behind them, because there is no other advance, no other eve of opportunity other than just pushing onto this B site, and Rest and Cabal are in the perfect spot to punish. But there we go, over aggression is being taken advantage of. Mister gets 2, and well, there's 2 more to find. It is a 1 versus 2 situation. He does have a bit of time to work with, but he doesn't realize how these players are approaching. He's going to be watching the right angle, although as I say that, the timing's not going to work out for him, and NeckTwisted have 2.
Yeah, they do take us to 17-15. I mean, again, I just want to kind of reiterate the fact that Tan seem to be very afraid to overcommit. I want to see more of that flair that we saw in the second half from them, where they just kind of not gave up. I don't want to use the word give up, but it felt like they gave up and just started throwing everything at NeckTwisted.
Yeah, they had the win knocked out of them, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, well, strats ain't working, let's just throw what we can at them. And then you've got Ollie converting frags outside like it's no one's business. So, I want to see more of that from them. we're not going to see more of it from Ollie, though. He'll get taken out, not before taking Nuck down. Pommy's going to convert one of his own off the back of good info, however, and that does leave a bit of wiggle room for EsportsWales. They make their way towards ramp.
Yeah, this is really nice play, actually. Tan, they put pressure on ramp, so that lower site becomes vulnerable, and then Mister's sat in the perfect lurk opportunity. Not ideal with the AWP, but he's just locking down this vent area, and there he goes. Even had the info for the third. Kabul, he's going to push through with an AK. It might be a bit of a dire situation, though, because there's 3 players to find, and he doesn't have so much time to work with. He's going to be fairly quick on the advance, and that will give his info away. Tan can work around this info, and they're perfectly set up to punish. There we go, they lock it in. I was waiting with bated breath, but it has happened. Tan win 1 round in the first half of overtime.
Can we talk about Mr. just shutting the door on
literally
on Kabul? Like literally just like, it's Kabul, I'm gonna close the door and we're just gonna pretend that he's not there. It's completely fine. You know, it was like the whole thing of like, you know, T-Rex, if you stand still they can't see you. It was more like, if I close the door and I just pray he might not come through it, we'll be fine. But Kabul wasn't having any of it, unfortunately. He did go through that door and put us in the position that we're in. 16-17 is the scoreline, still in favour of NeckTwist, but a strong finishing T round from Tan, at least, anyway.
Yeah.
OT2, here we go. Sorry, I'm just going to get out of the way before it happens, you know.
Well, you know, you bring up OT2. Tan need to win all 3 rounds on their CT half to get a win. So if they get 2, that will push it to another overtime. In the adverse situation that they only get 1 or no rounds, then it will be a NeckTwist win. They need to achieve 19 rounds overall on the side of NeckTwist. But Tan, they have a lot of money to work with, and they're going to try and put together some sort of a defense. It was their favourable side, although they were able to match that of NeckTwist on their own T side eventually. And we'll see how things play out. It is a bit of a slower default from NeckTwist, and we've seen Tan have trouble dealing with these kinds of rounds beforehand. Pommy, he's going searching and ramping. If he goes down here, there's no one else in a strong spot to take up the mantle, but it's these mini aggressions that we've been talking about from NeckTwist going right. So why can't Tan do the same? Oh, there's another miss smoke, and man, I'm so disappointed to see things like that, because if you could have the best aim in the world, but if you're not nailing your nades, then it's not going to matter, because NeckTwist can just play around them and just win with the utility wall.
I keep my mouth shut a second. I want to see what Tan can do here, because it does seem to be like they're falling away from the mark. They're pushing players in directions that we wouldn't normally expect them to push at this point, especially with the amount of aggression that we've seen from NeckTwist so far.
I think Tan, they're so wary of this NeckTwist push that NeckTwist have just sat there for a minute and a half, and they've just expended all their utility. There's not going to be much resistance coming towards this A site, and that's where we're going to be ending up as the hit comes through. NeckTwist expend their utility, and they're going to be pushing out straight away. There's the initial trade from Ollie. He will be burning at his feet, but he gets 2 before he goes to the grave, and Ryback can finally chime in. Freestyle even has a backstab, and there we go. There's a quick round. Tan, make it work.
You say quick, I say a minute 30 of sitting in lobby, and then 30 seconds of a quick round, but we'll give you that one. All
right, a quick defense. There we go.
A quick defense, yeah, that works for me. Anyway, it's not very often I get to correct you, so I'm allowed to do it every now and again. Okay, more often than not, it's me sat there afterwards with you going, "Why did you say that? Like, what do you want about?" Like, put me a bit of originality. Anyway, NeckTwist are good. They seem to be wanting to get this round over and done with as quick as possible. They push out into sight. 17-17 is the scoreline, so they are going to start clutching rounds back as best they possibly can. But EsportsWales are ready for them, and they've shut down any chance of a safe space to be within that side. Pommy? What are you doing, Pommy? Why are you in the...
He's so hungry for kills. He's not eating his dinner tonight, and that leaves his teammates in a 3 versus 2 clutch. NeckTwist, they're dabbing through the smokes to their deaths, and there we go. Tan pick up a second. They've guaranteed, I think, another overtime at least. It's just whether they can pick up a 3rd round and bring it to a win.
Massive CT side from Tan.
Yeah,
Huge. Like, this is the third or fourth win now, I think.
They're on a 3-round win.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, this will be the second or third win, or maybe the fifth win that we've seen from them, where they kind of they have like a really bad couple of moments, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, we're awake again. Let's go!" And they start recovering rounds. Not wind even. My accent and your hearing is definitely not match made in heaven at the minute. Excuse me.
I think I just want to sing the praise of NeckTwisted a little bit there, because Tan were definitely caught off guard by that change of pace. We just, as you rightly said, we were sat there for 1.5 minutes with naught to do about, well, it could have turned into another podcast moment, but they go from that and then straight into that immediate lobby push into the A site, and it was a bit problematic for Tan. They're able to stabilize off the back of it, and now NeckTwist, they're kind of scratching their heads with, what's going to work now, lads? They go for a more passive setup, and there you go. Thought director wants to focus on the first kill of the round, and that is Derps. It is going to be the rest of NeckTwist that have to recover the situation, and they're going to start making moves only now.
Things go in this direction. See, Tanner making me believe again, and Auto Director is still having enough.
I'm so confused. What is going on?
Excuse me. Oh. My hope is drifting slightly, but it's still there, as we still have Rest and Freud's still awake. And
they are awake. Wait, Tanner are on the verge of winning the game.
They are. They really are. Yeah, they've got 4 players still up, 4v2. 18-17 is the scoreline. And a big retake is needed. But first kill will go in, and that's it. Well done.
I mean, I don't think he's going to be at the... Oh, well, he is, actually. I was going to say, I don't think he's at the top of the scoreboard because of how many trades we've seen come through for him. But I have to say, Ollie had an outstanding game, this one. He's had so much impact, clutching up these rounds when they need it most, even getting the important entries. Let's not say it was a one-man army. Tan did chime in at times altogether. But, I think Ollie has been a really star performer for this one.
Definitely. I said at the very beginning, when we were talking about like what we wanted to see from this game, I said I wanted to see Ollie play the way that we know he can. Thank you, Sashino. Just we're about to finish up. We will be back in about 40 minutes time. We'll have Team Yar versus, and I'm going to say the name wrong, and I know it already, and I think you're probably going to say it wrong at some point as well, because we've both been looking at it going,
it sounds like a Pokemon, man.
It does sound like a Pokemon. It really does. We've got Team Yar versus Vutrox Academy.
Yep.
There you go. We're just going to go for that. We'll see you in about 40 minutes time.